Okay, great. We are back, and I appreciate you joining us. And today, as discussed, we will, as we mentioned earlier, we're going to paint the Strongback. Now, I want to tell you what I did to prepare. Obviously, lots of masking. And I'm going to, the first thing you need to do is paint a layer of dark green onto this, right? So to prepare for that, obviously I masked. The other thing I did was I put a little drop of Elmer's glue into each one of these spotlights here. And all I did is I grabbed the glue and I put a little glob of, little round globe of glue onto the tip of one of these bamboo sticks. And I just kind of pushed it in there. And it's drying as we speak. It's okay if we paint over it, it'll dry up. But after you finish all the masking and painting, then you can just pull it out with, pick it out with one of these, which is a piece of wood, or use your tweezers and pull them out. All right, so I've prepared the darkest green color. It's already in the paint cup, so let's go ahead and get started. Obviously, you don't want to paint green on anything else, so it's very important to mask this up. And a tip for masking tip here, make sure that you fine mask first with a thinner mask strip. Like I'm using some thin green masking tape, which it's probably about 1/4 of an inch or less in width. That just helps you fine tune the lines, and then you can come back around and put just regular masking tape on that. That just kind of helps with your fine tuning on your masking. Okay. All right, so let's get started with the green paint here. I'm going to start far away to give it kind of a nice layer, and then as I get closer, as I progress, I'll get a little bit closer just to get a thicker layer. All right, I'm good with that. Now to let this dry up, and then we'll come back. All right, so we have passed this stage of painting, and so the masks are still on. We are at this point where we're going to remove masks, and we should hopefully, fingers crossed, we should get something that looks something like this on the Strongback, okay? Once again, they sell the decals for this, so you don't have to go through the painting process, but I wanted to do the painting with the masks. I mean, Gary did such a wonderful, wonderful job on the details on these masks that I just wanted to go through the painting. And after the results of the deflector housing, I wanted to try the Strongback pattern. Without further ado, let's take a look how that turned out. The other thing I will tell you is that here it is. Taking the masks off has been a little bit of a challenge in that I seem to be making some marks around the areas where I'm taking the mask off, and I'm trying to do it as horizontally as I can with this tool, but it's just not working. So let me go ahead and start removing the masks so that you can see what's happening here. I'm going to start the mask removal. All right, here we go. Okay, so there you go. I'm gonna just end here because there's quite a bit more on both sides that I need to do, but I'm really, really happy with the way this looks. What do you think? Now, I will tell you that, taking off some of these little pieces, they were so tacked on that when I was using the blade here to take them off, I was trying to be very careful not to push the blade or point the blade into the paint, but point it away from the paint as I tried to scrape up I was trying to use one of these upward patterns with the blade so that when I went under the tape, I would come up and not down. But, as I go in, it would catch me by surprise. The blade would go in under the piece of tape and push the blade back down into the paint. So I don't know if you can see that, but there are little white patterns here, or white scrapes, I guess, here, where the blade actually went into the green paint there and dug up some of that old white paint that's obviously underneath. So I'm gonna try to see if I can touch that up as much as I can, but from afar, it's not that bad. I could chalk it off as weathering on the Enterprise from traveling through space for so many years or whatever, But I'm happy with that, Gary. Wonderful job again on these masks. Love it, love it, love it. So I'm going to keep doing this, my friends, and we'll be back with another segment. See you in just a bit. Well, all right. There she is, my friends. I just can't say enough about the masking set. Really, really, really good masking set. Very happy with it. And as you can see, it just came out great. So I took the masks off and then I sprayed over it with this Duplicolor wheel matte clear coat. Since, we're not talking about the shimmering colors, these taxidermy products, polytransfer shimmering colors, I went ahead and just did this to kind of protect the patterns, to protect the paint, because what's going to happen now is I'm going to cover this. Once this cures, I'm going to give this a good 24 hours to cure. There is no way that I'm going to put any tape on top of this right now. This is a lot of work. So I'm going to let this cure for a good 24 hours. And then I plan to tape this off and then continue painting the Aztec patterns on the sides, bottom, all these areas, the pylons. We're going to just do one section at a time. Like I'll probably remove the tape off one of these sides or maybe the bottom, since, we don't have any tape here. And then I'll just continue painting one section at a time, just to make sure that, we get it all done. And, again, this is taking so long because it's a big process, right? Not only do you have to fit everything together, glue it together, you have to, if you're lighting it up, you wire and solder and glue, and then you test everything and you paint everything. And, it's just a lot of work, my friends, as you can see, which is why some folks charge quite a bit for this model. I mean, with all the custom paint work and everything, this is hours and hours of work. So keep that in mind when you see the price go up for this one, because I will be selling it once it's done. One other thing to mention, just to show it, as you know, I put the Elmer's glue on both of these spotlights, and they are working perfectly. As far as the Elmer's glue is working perfectly as a mask. I still haven't taken that off yet, but once this is complete, I will take that off. And I just love these little patterns. Look at the little arrows pointing and all that. I don't know if you all realize this or not, but the reason the Strongback is a different color than everything else is because it represents the positioning of the warp core for this particular ship. So the warp core, I believe, is somewhere in this area here. And so if there's ever a problem with the warp core or the nacelles, these are blowout in theory, they're blowout panels where the Enterprise can get rid of the nacelles and kick on the impulse engines and take off as far away as they can from the warp core before it blows. So that's why this is a separate color and it has different markings on it. I'm sure there's more to it than that, but that's the little reading that I got to read about the reason for the different colors there gave me that information. All right, so let's go ahead and go on to the next section, and we'll be right back. Okay, so I'm going to end this segment with a look at the secondary hull and what I plan to do from this point forward. So I removed all the masking around the actual secondary hull part except for the end here. And I love this look of the Strongback. Look at how clean this came out. Now, I think I mentioned this a while ago, but I did spray some of this wheel mat clear coat on it, and it's very smooth now. I did have to, I used a towel, just a regular painter's towel, and I just continued to smooth it out by just doing this. And I did this on the white primer as well. And by the way, the next step here is to go ahead and start masking the entire secondary hull for painting. And of course I masked off the arboretum windows like that. And so I'm going to end by showing you what I do to prepare to start masking this off with the mask design masks. All right, so what I do, just to FYI, the mask design, Gary, he provides all this, all the instructions online. You get a PDF, and so I print out the sections that I need when I'm getting ready to start working on those sections, and then I study them, and then I get what I need to get, the sheets I need to get, because there's a lot of sheets that come with this when you order the set. And so in this case, you just print out what you need, and I print out the sheets I need to get as well. And what Gary did, I really like what he did. So he provided blue sheet, which is very tacky, all right, and sticks to the ship. And then he provided a gray sheet that allows you to remove the tacky part. So for example, this is sheet 6. I've already used parts of it for the saucer section, right? And now I'm on the secondary hull, and this is the bottom or the underside of the secondary hull, the belly. So I'm going to cut that out. I'm going to put this blue onto the hull, and then when I get ready to paint, I'm going to use gray sheet number 22. All right, because gray sheet number 22 has the exact same pattern right here. I don't know if you can see this on the video. Not sure, but it has the exact same pattern right there as it does right here. So, and when you remove the blue piece from the ship, it's supposed to, it's so flimsy that when it comes off, it gets warped. So you just get that exact same piece off of here, and you spray your spray, and then you put the gray back into where it belongs, and then you can tell what parts you sprayed. And this gray sheet is not as tacky, so it won't stick like this one will when you take it back off. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start following the directions here, and I'll start with this side, which is the starboard side, and the starboard side hull pattern is on sheet number 7. So let me grab sheet number 7. All right, so let's go ahead and just start putting this sheet on and these masks on. Okay, my friends, you can see how tacky this stuff is. I mean, it's stuck to this. It won't come off of this. It's sticking to my fingers. It's really, really tacky. So I'm going to go ahead and align these up and just add them back on and finish this off. And then I'll move on to the next section, and I'll probably be a little bit more careful with this next section so that some of this blue doesn't come off. I'm gonna have to take some of these pieces off here and hope they don't warp on me. They're not fully planted down. There's some bubbling happening here, so I think I can take them off and realign them. But it is something that you're just gonna have to be aware of as you're working with this blue sheet. It's very, very, very tacky, and it's gonna do the job it's supposed to, but you just gotta be very careful with it. All right. Okay, this is going to be fun. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to the nice crisp lines we're going to get out of this. So we are going to start the painting process on the Aztecing of the secondary hull. Pro tip, do one section at a time. Don't put all the masks on. And the reason for that is, if you notice right here, I'm having to mask this section here because, you know, this is the Strongback section and it's overlapping with some of the blue masks that I put on. So now what I fear is that when I take this mask off to do this section, it'll pull off a lot of these blue masks. So to keep it clean and to be organized, do one section at a time, okay? All right, so I'm going to manage that somehow. We'll see how that goes. But for now, I've removed all of the masks that should be colored red according to the Trek Modeler's Paint Guide. So all the red pieces have been removed. And as you can see, some of these are gonna stay white. We're gonna color red, gold, blue, and green, but some of the sections there, we'll never remove those masks. They'll just stay that whole color primer white that we initially sprayed on the hull. All right, so let's go ahead and get started with the red. All right, and that's it. Now I'm going to let that cure for the next 24 hours. And then I'm going to take the mask off of the gray sheet for the appropriate little masks and cover those with the masks off of this. And I'll be able to tell that I've already painted them, they're done, and we can move on to the next color. So this is going to be a process of weeks with me slowly working every single day. So that's why this video update is taking so long. My apologies for that, but I'm looking forward to unmasking everything and showing you the final result once we're completely done. All right, let's move on. Okay, all right, everybody. So I just finished using these tools here to remove the masks from the port side of the secondary hull. And one more thing you're going to need besides something like this and some tweezers, you're going to need a hair dryer that blows out hot air. All right. And the reason for that is you want to minimize when you're removing those masks from off the previous colors. You want to minimize the mask removing those colors. And these particular colors, especially this shimmering blue color that I got, tend to, the flakiness tends to pop off with the mask. So if you heat it down, if you use a hairdryer in hot mode, the mask will come off for the most part without a hitch. Now, I did have a little issue with some of the shimmering red, and the reason for that is because I think I rushed it on that particular part of the secondary hull, but I don't think you'll be able to tell as much. So let me bring this in so you can see what I'm talking about. So there you go, my friends. The secondary hull port side is done. And as you can see, you've got some paneling in all kinds of colors there, and it looks really nice. Obviously, as the paint hits the spotlight, it shimmers and reveals a much more intense color. And then, of course, as it goes away from the spotlight, it kind of gets into white, and you still see some low colors. So really, really, really happy with that. I'll point it out for you right now, but there it is. There's the there's the red spot right there that the mask lifted off part of the paint. But I'm not too worried about that because the rest of it kind of looks good. There's another little spot right there. So this particular area, I think I rushed it and I didn't wait for the heat to fully, diffuse the masking on that. But it's not too much of a problem, and I've got little spots like that throughout the ship, and I'll just call them battle damage. That's what I'll call them. You can call them whatever you want. All right, so we're done with that section. What I'm going to do is I'm going to move on to this section and continue this side, and then I'll go on to this side. So I'll continue doing that, my friends, and we will move forward with what we're doing here. So again, this is coming along really nice, and I want to thank all of you for joining me on this channel, and really do appreciate it. So before I end, I've got to ask, please don't forget to like and subscribe, and share if you feel that this has been valuable and you know someone who might need this kind of a tutorial. It's really not a tutorial, it's just my journey, but if you get something out of my journey, my mistakes, my how-tos, all the better for you and the community. Thank you so much, and we'll see you again in the next video.